Hello, this is Andy, and today I'm bringing you a Gravit poster design tutorial. This is part 1 of a series of videos that will explain you how to do step-by-step poster presentation for your project. In this first video, I will show you how to create some guidelines, get a rough layout, know which content elements to place inside your poster, know how to make a good font selection, and then some websites for references and inspiration. Let's get started and zoom out a little bit and let's see what we will have at the end of the tutorial. As you can see, I laid out my page with my titles, my texts, and the photos I will need to present my project properly. Knowing in advance how many visuals and images I will need for my poster is a crucial part of the workflow. As you can see, I decided to have a main photo in the first page, an image reference, and a hand sketch. On the second page, I'm explaining a bit more about the purpose and function of my project. I will have an orthographic 3D view of the space and two more images explaining the actions and interactions and the processing part of my project. However, feel free to organize these two pages however you want and as many as you need in order to explain your project properly. In red, you can see the guidelines I've been using to align my content and the ones I will rely mostly to make this poster looking very neat. So let me first open a new design. I'm gonna select the paper size. In this case, we need to select a A3 for Interaction Lab, and I'm gonna select a vertical page, but feel free to have it in a different orientation. Maybe landscape works better for you. In the menu in the right side, we can activate the grid and change its scale to 5 by 5. This grid will help us to align things more easily and snap elements to it. If your rulers are not visible, go to View, Canvas, and Show Rulers, and just take them out and put them again. And this you can now click and drag from the edge to add guidelines. So these guidelines will be like the base of our poster, and we will know where to align our content. So for now, I'm just gonna eyeball very quickly, like kind of like 4 squares, which is 20 millimeters. I want some nice and beautiful margins. Okay, and let me align them because the guidelines don't snap to the grid, so I will do this with a small rectangle. So this small rectangle, I'm gonna change the color to green, and the guidelines do lock to my elements much better. So now I can select these two, go to the other corner and adjust our guidelines. So now we have some nice margins all around our posters, and I'm gonna keep this square somewhere here outside. Oh, notice it disappeared. So if you click outside on the canvas and then deselect clip content, you can see it again. Next, I had an idea previously, so I'm gonna just continue with this, and I'm gonna divide this page in 4 sections. However, feel free to divide it in as many sections as you want. You can have maybe 3 rows and 2 columns, or 1 narrow column and 1 wide column. It's up to you. A good place to find some inspiration is to visit this website called Design Inspiration. Then you can go on Explore and you can select the category Print Design. In this category, you will find plenty ideas for layouts from great designers and artists, and it will also give you an idea how to place the content within your poster. So this is a great resource. I recommend you spend some time looking for a magazine or a layout that you inspires you, and try to like copy it in a way and make it yours. So for example, this one I quite like the use of typography and the columns and the white spaces between the images. So I'm just gonna screenshot it and keep it in one side of my page as a reference. Hide this image for now because I already have an idea of what I want to do. I'm gonna create another rectangle, a smaller rectangle, this time half of the size. So 10, 10 by 10. Or maybe 10 by 10. And this one is gonna be my inside margins. I'm just gonna give yeah, an orange color like this. And so here is the center of my page, and I can drag some new guidelines next to the box and also in the middle. Perfect. So at this point, I might not need the grid anymore. I can just turn it off and work solely on my guidelines that I created myself. If you want to remove a guideline that you put by mistake, you can just click and drag and put it back in the ruler and it will disappear. Also, I will keep my small rectangle on the side if I need it later. So now that my main guidelines are finished, I'm gonna start adding a title. So I'm just gonna drag a text box in my top corner, top left corner. It's quite a lengthy title, but you can adapt it to your own. And we can choose as a different font. Let's see how this looks like. Bold, make this big. No, I don't like it a lot. Let's change for something different. Let's try Amico. Okay, yeah, Amico is not bad. So this is gonna be a title, and we can add another text box for the intro of the introduction of my project. I'm just gonna put a letter here, and I'm just gonna go on this website. Is lipsum.com. Basically, it creates some fake text. Let me go backwards. Homepage, you can just click here on generate lorem ipsum. I'm just gonna copy paste the first paragraph, come back to Gravit and paste. No, just this is too big. There we go. So I can adjust the size. Next, I would like to select good matching fonts for my titles and my text. At the moment, I'm not sure if they are. I can go online to this website called FontJoy. It's a very nice website that will let me know which fonts go well together. You can choose from 3 different fonts. For our title font, we will use Amico, which is the one we currently have. Also, we can decide to lock this one so it won't change. Next, we will go on Generate to see what other fonts are a good match for our title font. We can see we have our subtitles could be Cardo or our text could be Maven Pro. The slide next to the Generate button lets you adapt to different type of text to more similar to more high contrast. Let's try again and see what we got this time. More similar fonts for our title will be Source Sans Pro and Nuance. But I think a balanced contrast was nice. Maven Pro, the one we had before, seemed like a good option. So let me go back to my text and just try to find Maven Pro. There we go. In this case, I will use two fonts only, one for my titles and one for the text. But you can also add a third one for your subtitles. Now we selected the fonts, let's place some rectangles that will represent the images and pictures for our project. So here is one. I'm gonna copy paste this one, drag it here on the side, and I want to be a bit more flexible on the left side because I have two more pictures that I want to add, so we can get a bit flexible. Here I'm just gonna make it half, copy paste again this rectangle, and I need to add a margin in between. So I'm gonna grab again my small box and just shorten these images elements so we have an equal spacing margin between those. So now if I control comma, you can see it's very simple, but it looks very clean, and I know exactly how many of these elements will I need. So it's good to think about what's gonna be inside these blank squares. You could also have just one main picture that could take the entirety of the bottom and just add other pages that will explain the details. Actually, let's do that. It's a nice idea to change a bit compared to the original idea I had. And notice that I aligned my top of the text with the bottom of my title, so it looks nice and compensated. Now I can activate this multi-page mode and add a new page. When I add a new page, I can take my green square again and duplicate and add the margin guidelines like so. I will also add the center margins in my page by using my orange square. So I will stick it on the top of my page and make sure it has an equal distance from side to side. I then click and drag from the edge and add my guides. Perfect. In this page, we will adapt a little bit to the layout to be able to introduce 4 paragraphs with photos, each one explaining a different part of the project. So I'm going to start by creating a rectangle. That will be the first photo. I'm going to duplicate this rectangle, reuse my orange square because I want to leave a margin between the two boxes. Select both rectangles and stretch them in one direction. Now I'm done with my smaller margin square. I can drag my image box lower and select both of them and do the same thing for the bottom area. You can start identifying the 4 different sections that we will use to explain the different parts of our project. For each section, we will have a smaller text and also a little title that we will describe what we will talk about. So each of these title boxes will have a different name. I wrote function, but actually the first one could be purpose or why, to explain why you're doing this in the project. The second one could be the function one, where it explains how you allow the interaction to happen and with which mechanism, which sensors or which lights or LEDs or projectors, if it has sound or not, and everything. And also you could explain the why in this page, although this you might have explained in the introduction already. So basically, it gives you an idea of all the things that you need to introduce for to explain properly your project. There is a slightly different way we can do this layout is by staggering each of these sections. So as you see now, I'm gonna move some of them to the left, switching the image and the text, and it looks slightly different. All right, so back to my original example. I hope you understood a little bit the workflow on how to set up your layout. And this will be super useful for you to know what content, what images you need while you're working on the actual project. And remember to get as many references and inspiration as you can, especially from that design inspiration website that I show you. There you can find like great examples of like magazine layouts and poster layout by great designers and artists. And also note that the example that I did is quite on the safe and simple style. So everything is quite ordered, it's neat, but you could go much more crazy if you want, make it unique and make it yours basically. If you want, like, you could do a grid that's not orthogonal. Maybe it's a grid or you have some diagonals at some point that you can play with. Maybe the typo, it's not from the actual system. Maybe you handwrite all your titles and then photograph them and place them in your page so it looks more like a craft project. Or you could have images that run on your background completely instead of being inside the box. So there is many things you can play with, and don't stay with this very basic simple style if you don't feel it represents you or it represents your project. Try to explore more things. I will also have a video tutorial on style. So I think it will be at the end once you have most of your content, your texts and your images. That's it. I hope you enjoy this and keep in tune for the next video tutorial. Bye bye.